In spite of excellent unbeaten hundreds from Sam Billings and Joe Denley, Kent went down to a 3-wicket defeat at the hands of high-flying Glamorgan in Canterbury in their latest Royal London One Day Cup encounter. Put in, Kent made a solid enough start through Daniel Bell-Drummond and Tom Latham. The match soon reduced to 42 overs per side because of rain. These two saw out the first 6.5 overs in opening up with a stand of 30. Latham then fell for 9, perfectly picking out Michael Hogan in the deep off the bowling of Graham Wagg. That brought in Denley, a man who's produced a number of stunning innings so far this summer, and this one was not any different. He was soon off and running, adding 32 runs for the second wicket in the next 6.5 overs. But then Bell-Drummond on 31 nicked off to Hogan. Not that that set Denley back any. Soon after Dean Koska was brought into the attack, he came down the wicket and launched the spinner down the ground for the first 6 of the day. The score read 120 for 3 in the 27th over when Sam Northeast was out for 26, pulling this ball from Tim Van Gooten to Anurin Donald in the deep. But the next 15 overs were dominated by Denley and Billings, who were both superb. In the same Van Gooten over, Denley reached his latest 50 of this summer, with his 4th 4 to go with his 1 maximum, his half-century occupying 64 deliveries. He now received invaluable support from Billings as the boundaries began to come at very regular intervals, whatever the visiting attack tried. On what was a good batting surface, all sorts of cricket shots were now being produced. With 6 overs to go, these two had smartly carried the score to 200 for 3 before both batsmen went berserk, 90 runs coming off the final 36 balls of the innings. Denley and Billings, finding some good form, both cleared the rope in what became an exhilarating passage of play. Billings with this big hit to get to his own 50 from just 36 deliveries. Denley meanwhile got to 3 figures in the 40th over, one which went for 18 runs. His ton was made up of 97 deliveries, from which he'd struck 8 4s and 2 6s. He then let Billings take over the assault. Twice in the next 3 balls, he smashed the ball into the distance. He was starting to middle just about everything in what was his best effort, and what has been a season of some disappointment so far. He cleared the rope again in the next over, delivered by Wagg, before he finished off the last over by racing to a stunning century with his 5th 6. He'd needed only 17 balls to go from his 50 to his ton, an extraordinary effort. He had every right to celebrate. He then hit the last ball to the boundary as well to end on 106, overtaking Denley, who made 104. These two adding 170 in 15 overs to end on 290 for 3. The Duckworth-Lewis target for Glamorgan was 293 off 42 overs, and after a quiet start to their reply, Jack Rudolph went after Darren Stevens, 63 coming from the opening stand in 11 overs. James Treadwell then came on and removed Rudolph with his second ball. Alex Blake with the catch, the Glamorgan skipper out for 24. This was a big moment as Billings missed a stumping chance off Treadwell in the same over. And that began to look expensive when the batsman, Will Bragg, cleared the rope off Treadwell in his next over. An important partnership was then developed between Bragg and David Lloyd, who, with boundaries such as these, was able to make his 50 off 48 balls, the second wicket stand going on to register 83 runs in a dozen overs before both batsmen fell in the space of 3 balls. On 65, Lloyd pulled a delivery from Matt Coles which followed him out to Latham. And then Bragg, who'd made a run of ball 52, reverse swept Treadwell to Blake. 17 overs to go and the score read 150 for 3, 143 more wanted, with 2 new batsmen now at the crease, one of those being Colin Ingram, who kept his side very much interested with a couple of 6s which took the total up to 183. But to the last ball of the 29th over, Donald hit Treadwell out to Latham to leave 110 more runs to find off the final 13 overs. Ingram was now the key man. He reached his 50 off only 30 balls and celebrated that by sweeping a low full toss from Claydon over the rope. The first ball of the next over, the 36th, was also hit into the distance by Chris Cook, but as he tried to repeat the dose, he was bowled by Coles for 21. 55 runs were now wanted off 42 balls with 5 men out, But alas, not Ingram, who cleared the rope for the 5th time at the start of the next over. It was game on when Wag gave his own wicket away to keep Ingram at the crease, Cole showing his skills at 10-pin bowling. And when Craig Macheda was also run out by Latham after coming back for a second run, Glamorgan were left on 269 for 7 with 15 balls remaining. But 2 of the next 3 were hit well by Ingram, a 6th maximum for the left-hander, meaning that 13 runs were required off the last 2 overs. Glamorgan used only 5 balls of those in the end. 2 more 4s from Ingram took him into the 90s, and then Van Gooten hit the winning runs off the penultimate ball of the penultimate over. The 3-wicket defeat, Ingram ending on a 53-ball 95, means it's now 1 win and 1 loss in this competition. Kent now wait for the arrival of Somerset to Canterbury on Tuesday to quickly put this defeat behind them.